Clients can make or break your business, literally, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and energetically. Some will become your biggest cheerleaders, and others will completely drain you. And in today's episode, I'm talking about both. The ones who changed everything for the better, and the ones who taught me some hard but very necessary lessons. Back in Business is the unfiltered podcast for service providers, founders, and women in business who are done pretending it's all smooth sailing. This is the real, slightly chaotic, often hilarious side of business, the part you don't see but absolutely need to hear. Join me, Kim Zojba, Executive Virtual Assistant, Business Manager and multiple business owner, as I share honest conversations from my own journey and fellow businesswomen. We go behind the brands to talk about the moments that shape our businesses, big wins, fuck-ups, mindset shifts, strategy and everything in between. This is Business, Unfiltered, and you're definitely not doing it alone. Welcome back. Today's episode is about something I don't think gets spoken about enough. Clients. Clients are not just a line on your bank statement or a name in your CRM. They're people you work closely with, sometimes daily. They shape your energy, your confidence, your work style, and honestly, your entire business. Some of them become lifelong friends. Some of them are just that, clients. And some of them, well, they make you question everything you thought you knew about your business, your boundaries, and your own self-worth. Well, for me anyway. So let's start with the ones who changed everything in the best way possible. One of my very first clients, who's still with me to this day, is Nadine, the founder of the Social Shells, and I know she won't mind me talking about her here because honestly, she deserves all the recognition in the world. From day one, Nadine treated me with so much respect. Never like an assistant or someone just doing admin behind the scenes, but as an equal. She supported me, encouraged me, and has been the kind of client that gives more than she takes. And over time, we built more than just a working relationship. We built a friendship. And I think it's okay to say that. There's this idea in business that you have to keep things professional. No blurred lines, no emotion. But some of the most impactful business relationships I've had have been the ones where we connect on human and deeper level too. And beyond that, she's genuinely a brilliant coach. There's no fluff, no fake boss babe messaging. She knows her stuff, she walks her talk, and she actually cares about helping women succeed. And that's rare. And I see it so often with her students and her graduates. And she literally helps anybody she possibly can, and she's helped me immensely with my business. And without her, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. And she helps me without expecting anything in return. And I just love that about her. And she's become one of my all-time favourite clients. It was just one of the best clients I could ever wish for. And I have another client who's had a massive impact on me, is Marina Triner. She's a somatic coach with a story that's incredibly powerful. And when we started working together, it just clicked. We're so similar in a lot of ways. And like Nadine, she's someone who values her team, not just for what they do, but for who they are. Marina's taught me that business can be heart-led and sustainable, that you can show up fully as yourself and still grow a business that thrives. And just like Nadine, she reminds me that community over competition isn't just a slogan, it's literally the way of working. Clients like these have taught me that business doesn't have to be cold or corporate. It doesn't have to feel like work every day. You don't need to follow what everyone else is doing. You can create your own way of working that feels like you, and you can still make it work. And I was very lucky to have found these people early on in my business. Otherwise, I think I was going in that direction where everything had to be super corporate, super streamlined, super professional. And it doesn't need to be. You can literally have a business that is built around you and your wants and your needs and your personality. And I think that's incredible. And it's so important to find clients who support that as well. But of course, not every client experience has been that positive. And I want to be really honest about that, because I think there's a lot of shame around difficult clients, as if admitting that someone didn't work out is a failure on your part, and it's not. I've had clients who were really genuinely lovely, incredible people, but working together just didn't work. They couldn't let go of control, or they didn't have the structure in their business to support the delegation, or they literally treated me like an employee, expecting instant replies, random late night requests, constant back and forth, asking me to get on calls at 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. Like, it just, at the weekends, it just was not realistic. And even if they are good people, some people are just not good at running business. And it doesn't matter how much you try and help somebody, they just are not willing to change. And I think the red flags were always there from the beginning, and definitely some of the ones that I took on board and I look out for in the future, and some that you could probably write down and take on board as well, is definitely haggling on price right from the start. If somebody's trying to lower your price, is saying that you're too expensive, or is complaining about money, this is a huge red flag, because it's always going to be an issue and they're never going to see the value in your work. And then the other one is asking for more hours than what we agreed. If I have more hours, that's great. But asking for more hours can be a good thing if they're willing to pay. But I cannot tell you the amount of clients who expect me to cram 24 hours into 8 hours. And it's just not realistic. And if they have unrealistic expectations, then it's just not going to be great from the start. And then another one, messaging at 10 p.m, messaging me on weekends, messaging me on Sundays, expecting me to reply. That's been a huge one before as well. Yeah, definitely a big red flag. Sending urgent tasks at 4 p.m. on a Friday. That one really, I still got clients that do this. It's not great. But because I'm the type of person that wants to make sure everybody has everything that they need, if you send me something on a Friday at 4 p.m, I'm going to try and cram it in and get it done, because it's took me a while to build those boundaries, and sometimes I let them slip, but it causes great anxiety. And then I'm thinking about it all weekend, like they didn't get their task finished. But then again, it's not my fault, because they sent it on a Friday at 4 p.m, right? And then obviously expecting me to read their mind instead of communicating clearly. I cannot tell you how many clients have sent me messages of expecting me to do something, but have not explained fully that it is that they want me to do, and they're really confused of why I've not done something, of why I've not set up a funnel, because they haven't told me what the goal is or what the end goal is, or do you know what I mean? It's just very unrealistic, and those are my red flags. If you have any red flags, definitely let me know. Let me know in the comments. Message me, because I'd love to do another episode where we just discuss red flags, because I think it's really important. But at the time, I ignored those red flags because I needed the money, right? I didn't want to lose the work. I wanted to prove myself. But every time I ignored those red flags, I definitely paid for it later. I paid for it with stress, anxiety, burnout, self-doubt, adding more hours to my week that I didn't need to add on. And the funny thing is, those clients probably shaped me just as much as the good ones, because they taught me what I will and won't allow anymore. They forced me to write better contracts. They helped me put systems in place. They pushed me to create better boundaries that now I actually stick to. Well, try to stick to, because not everybody's perfect, but I am a lot better than I used to be. They taught me that just because someone offers you money doesn't mean you have to take it. That is a red flag at the start, will only become a bigger problem later. And that letting go of the wrong client creates space for the right one. So, was it hard to walk away from some of them? Absolutely. Even when you know it's the right move, it still feels like you failed. Like, you still feel guilty, you still worry about the income, and then you also second guess yourself. And I feel like that maybe I let the client down, but sometimes it's not my fault. But honestly, every time I've let go of that client that wasn't aligned, something better has always followed. Like, it literally created space. It's not always immediate, but that space, that energy shift creates room for growth, for clarity, for the kind of business that you actually want to run, right? So here's what I want to leave you with today, is that you don't have to say yes to everyone. You're allowed to protect your energy. The client isn't always right. And boundaries aren't just about structure, they're about self-respect. And it's okay if a client becomes a friend. If someone sees you as a human, not just as a service provider, you get to choose what your working relationship looks like. You get to set the tone. Every client, good or bad, teaches you something. Some remind you of your values, some remind you of your limits, and both are important. They're super important, and that's definitely how we grow as a business. And if this episode brought someone to mind, whether it's your dream client or your biggest lesson, I'd love to hear your story. So come and share it with me in an email, in a DM, message me however you want, because these are the stories that matter. These are the ones that we'd learn from, and that those who are just starting out in business really need to hear that this is normal, and they're definitely not alone in these, I'm not going to call them struggles, in these hurdles that we have to learn to jump over. So if you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to follow the podcast, leave a quick review, or share it with a fellow service provider or business friend who's navigating their own client journey. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.